So, good evening, good evening. We are back again. We have won again. We have smashed yet another team in the Premier League, and we are absolutely flying at the minute. Shame we didn't do that on Wednesday, but we're not here to talk about that. In fact, we could talk about it if you want. But yeah, we're probably best focusing on the Newcastle one. Before we get going, big ups to everybody locked in. Smash the like button. I will be back later for Girona against Vallecano. And big up for 95,000 subscribers. Not quite sure why so many people subscribe to this negative channel, but there we go. It is what it is. Jez, how are you, mate?
I'm very well, mate. And yeah, big congratulations to that 95,000 subscribers, mate. Very well deserved. You keep it real. And that's why people like listening to what you have to say. Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Enjoyed the game at the weekend. It's been very eventful around where I live here today. Up the road here, we've got a main road into the town closed for gas work repairs. And then the other main road down there, a tree fell on a bus. So the road was shut for 7 hours. Apparently, it fell right behind the driver. Nobody's seriously injured, thank goodness. But it's been absolute carnage here today. Absolute carnage. You can't go anywhere. So it's been eventful. And so that's been excitement for me today. But yeah, well done, mate. 95k, well deserved.
No, thank you, mate. Appreciate it. And Kenny, how are you, mate? How's your Monday?
It's all good. Like I said, I've had a good weekend. It was a very, very strange kickoff. 8 o'clock, but I enjoyed it. It was a fantastic performance. And I watched the League Cup final. Enjoyed it. The best 0-0 I've seen. Liverpool won an extra time. Everyone's got their own views on who they wanted to win, but Chelsea. Nathan, long time, mate. You all right, mate? Nathan Minas. That's a long time since we've seen you. I hope you've been good. But talking of, I don't share most Arsenal fans' view of Liverpool because the other day, Chelsea are the ones who've caused me more heartache in the 21st century more than Liverpool. So yeah. I have loads of Chelsea mates, but I'm sorry, I couldn't back Chelsea. I'm sorry. I'm jealous. I'm still jealous of your 2 European Cups. So yeah, it was a good game. But in a day, I also want to congratulate you on your 95k followers. It's all through hard work. It just makes me laugh where people say that no one takes notice of you, but since lockdown, you must have gone up from 60,000 subscribers up to 95. So you're doing something right. I mean, apparently we're all bad minds and we're jealous of other people's success when I can categorically say all I ever wanted was to have my season ticket and have access to what's the best team I believe is the best club in the world. They haven't banned me. They haven't, banned me for putting a club into disrepute. They've allowed me to, watch, great football, heartache, everything. But I get access to watch the football. I don't want to be, going on Radio 5 or TalkSport or on, that soccer social club on a Saturday. I just want to watch us play. So I've got nothing to be jealous about.
There you go. Big up to everyone in here. Get these likes up real quick. Pinned comment is Jez's channel and Kenny's Insta. And yeah, in fact, before we start talking about Arsenal, let's talk about that cup final. For me, it was a lesson in how not to finish. Literally, nobody could stick the ball in the back of the net. It was, I don't know, man. It was kind of embarrassing, if I'm honest, that a once great club in Chelsea have done £1 billion. Their football club is in absolute tatters. And they go and lose to a bunch of kids when they're supposed to be the youth project. And listen, Liverpool, for me, probably didn't deserve to win the game. But when you've got a centre-back who's been there, done it, seen it and won it all, you've always got a chance, especially if you don't mark him, Jez. But what did you make of it?
I thoroughly enjoyed it, actually. Unfortunately, I had to go and watch it down the pub. Boo-hoo. Oh, dear. We had suffered a power cut yesterday afternoon.
It's all gone wrong where you are, Jess. Jesus Christ!
Can't get it right, can you? I mean, my email's not working properly and everything. So it's all going well. So I had a great laugh. It was a great atmosphere. Chelsea, Liverpool fans in there. West Ham, me. I'm the only Arsenal fan that gets in there. Oh dear. And it was great fun. I actually loved it. As a neutral, it was a great game. It was a great final. Yes, the scoring ability has to be looked at, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm glad Liverpool won it. Fair play. The only reason I'm saying that is because Klopp leaves with another League Cup. 10 of them. They've won. Liverpool in their history. We've won 2. So yeah,
we got bigger fish to fry, Jez.
Oh, we have. Well, we fish. We're frying the big fish, mate. But are we going to eat it when we fried it? Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean. We've got to win it first before we can eat it. So let's see what happens, mate. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the game, actually.
Yeah, Kenny, what about you, mate? I know you like your cup finals as well. Shame we weren't there.
I love cup finals. I absolutely love it. You know, I enjoy the game from start to finish. You know, Liverpool, for me, in the first half, were the better team. Chelsea, had the chances. They took control of the game. And in extra time, for some reason, Chelsea were just completely and utterly knackered. They're not knackered. Every one of their players, even the subs, not knackered. You know, because they had to cover a lot of ground. Because, Klopp was pretty clever to the extent that he thought, you know what, I've got nothing to lose. He's probably thinking, the league is probably within our grasp. That's probably the competition that he wants to win the most. So he said, you know what? I need fresh legs out there. So it doesn't matter whether these kids are, 2018 or 17. They were fresh legs. And I think that's what scared Chelsea. The thing about Chelsea, I'm going to say right now, is if John Terry, Didier Drogba, or Big Frank were playing, they would have won that game. I think what Chelsea lack is leaders. They've got no leaders whatsoever. There's certain games this season and against certain clubs that they will never have lost if they had that kind of leadership in the team. And that is where Chelsea have gone wrong. You can spend as much money as you can, on up-and-coming players, but they needed leaders out there. There was no leaders when it was going wrong. There was no leaders in extra time who's thinking, right, you're knackered, but we need to push on and push on. They just sat there and accepted their fate. And I feel sorry for a lot of Chelsea fans who grown up with these kind of characters and leaders, seeing that. That's why we beat them. That's one of the reasons why we've got the Indian rubber sign over them. Not because, we're kind of better. It's because we've got leaders and they don't. Now, during the Wenger years, we were accused of not having the leaders and not having the battlers. And that's why Chelsea are always able to beat us. Now, the boot's in the other foot. And that's where it doesn't matter whether they have the Poch, De Zerbi, forget it. They're not winning nothing unless they get some leaders. You can go down a Brighton model all you like, but unless you have leaders, forget it.
Yeah, mate. Listen, I thought it was extremely weird. Like I know Sterling and Chilwell weren't playing very well, but I thought it was extremely weird that you sub off 2 players that have won major honours, the biggest of honours. Like in a final, when you need your big players to step up. Yeah, fair enough, they weren't playing great. But when you look around the rest of the pitch, where are their leaders? Yeah, Sterling, I wouldn't necessarily say is a leader. Maybe the same with Chilwell, although he had the armband on. But that's the difference. Their leader stepped up. Their leader stayed on the pitch. Their leader had a perfectly good goal for me, disallowed. Yeah, and then went and done it again. Why didn't he keep them on? If he keeps them 2 on, listen, Sterling's frustrating at times. But I mean, come on, Mudryk, Madwakey. I mean, what are we doing here? Yeah, and I've seen some of the quotes. Apparently, he said after the game that in extra time, the players thought it was best that we save ourselves for penalties. Well, hold up, who's the manager here?
Exactly.
Like, who's in charge here? Yeah, then when they went up the steps to get their losers medal, he didn't even shake Bowley's hand. So there's something a bit dodgy going on there. Something a bit dodgy.
But Bowley's sold him down the river. Bowley has sold him down the river. He's given him the impossible job. He's no good. I bet you a tenner that guy hasn't got a decision making authority at the club. I'll tell you one thing. I can bet you 80% of those players Poch didn't want to work with, but they were just given to him. And he says, right, this is a team, you work with it. And I think...
Yeah, but this is where I lose respect for managers, right? Yeah. Because if that is the case, then he should walk. He should say bollocks and then expose it.
but that's the thing. A lot of managers nowadays, you don't walk away from a club like Chelsea, who's basically dragged themselves, obviously through financial power of Abramovich, into the big time. You can't walk away from a team that has recently won 2 European Cups. You've got to take that job. That's still an attractive job. The problem is that Todd Bowley is so desperate to wipe out all stamps of Abramovich in his era that he's trying to start again, and he's making Chelsea into this lovely, people-friendly club, and it's a lot of rubbish. Let's face it. Had it not been for the Ukraine war, Abramovich would still be there.
Facts.
Chelsea might still be competing. They may, they've definitely been in the Champions League, quarterfinals by now. They'll definitely be challenged for the league. What this guy's done is just pathetic. He's trying to copy something that doesn't work. The fact is he's basically fixed something that was never broken, put into his own image, and it's not going to work. And Chelsea fans they're going to be like us. You know how they used to call us the history club? Well, that's going to be them, as long as this man's there.
Mate, do you know what? Before we did this podcast tonight, before we went live, I was watching. I timed it perfect as well, because it finished just as we went to roll the timer. And I was listening to Florin Malouda, the ex-Chelsea player, on a podcast with John Obi Mikel on John Obi Mikel's podcast. The last 10 minutes of that, go and watch it, people. Yeah, because they asked him, what do you think about modern football? Yeah, and what do you think about Chelsea? Last 15, 20 minutes maybe. And what do you think about Chelsea Football Club right now? Yeah, and he said, right, and they both said it. He started it, and then Obi Mikel jumped in as well. Florin Malouda's words were, they keep using too many buzzwords about projects and processes. Yeah. And he said exactly word of what I say. Yeah, he said it exactly. Too many buzzwords. And then Obi Mikel jumps in and goes, yeah, that's fine. It does take a little bit of time to do a project or a process, but nobody knows what the project is. So why are they not telling us what the project is and when it leads to trophies? And I'm sitting there thinking, do they watch our podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's true. You can have a project and a process, but tell us what it is and when it comes to fruition. They then went on to say about players, and he said the players are coming out mimicking it, saying that, we're here for the project, we're here for the project. He said, I didn't even know what the project is. Yeah, so how are they saying that? They're saying that because they're being told to say that because they're getting paid good money. Yeah, and this is where Chelsea are at. They've got a bunch of players that are not good enough, a bunch of players that are just happy to be there with their 8-year contracts because they're sweet for the next 8 years, and a bunch of players, they couldn't give a toss because they've already won stuff, like a Raheem Sterling maybe. I don't know.
100%. That's the thing that makes me laugh. At Arsenal, we've been force-fed that before Arteta took over Arsenal, the club was in a complete mess. He's had to revamp everything. And now look at us now. Look at us going now. We're challenging for everything. We've been in 2 title races. And we're in the second title race we're in is the current one. Now, when you look at Chelsea, they want a club on their knees. When this idiot from America took over, they want a club on their knees. They just won the World Club Championships.
Yeah,
they had won the European Super Cup the year before this idiot took over. They won the Champions League. There was nothing to fix.
They got to 6 finals in 14 months.
Exactly. The only problem Chelsea had was an image problem, and that had to do with politics. And because of because I say it with, and I'm not going to, don't take this wrong way, but Ukraine is now seen as the orphan Annies of Europe, and because of that, Abramovich was forced out, and that's just a fact. Now he's gone there, he's changed everything. He's trying to say, "Oh, political. It's all political. Oh, we couldn't have any trace of Abramovich because of what's happening with Putin. So we'd have got rid of Greliskaya, got rid of all the other people around who could have given this guy advice, got rid of Petr Cech, all these guys, and now they've revamped it. And what they've done now is that they basically turned it in a process that they didn't need. And I trust you, this process they're on is they're not gonna see big trophies for another 5 years, if they're lucky. And that's all. That's a process they didn't need.
True.
Facts. Big up to Connor as well, man, for the super chat, bro. 5 subs of 5K. I'll get my words out in a minute. Subs away from big 100K. Yeah, come on, we're getting there, people. Big up to all of you that are subbed, and make sure you sub to Connor's channel as well, people. CMO Sports, and appreciate that, mate. But yeah, let's get on to Arsenal. We obviously know Chelsea are trash and they're buried right now. Jez, went into that game and we were sitting there thinking, right, what we're going to do today, because we obviously cocked up against Porto in midweek, and we see Man City get over the line against Bournemouth quite fortuitously in the end, really, because if their wingers could cross balls properly, they probably would have lost. But there we go. They found the way. They hung on and they got the job done. We see obviously Liverpool in midweek go 5 points clear, so we had to win that game.
Yeah.
And mate, we absolutely blitzed them. No shots against us at all, not even on like a single shot, let alone on target in the first half. They could come out second half, had a little flurry. Isak put one over the bar, they had a couple of little half chances, but then we get that third goal and they were finished. Absolutely buried, but another good performance, mate.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I read today, I've read it somewhere that a couple of records broken, 6 wins to the start of a calendar year. 7 games where 2 goals in the first half, something like that. I don't know that. I mean, I haven't fact checked that, but yeah, I mean, I was nervy about that game. I won't lie, because I thought Newcastle, they got to push on. They're going to come to the Emirates and have a go at us, and they didn't. I was very surprised, because I had a conversation on Friday with a couple of my mates who are in my local Newcastle, but those guys were not confident at all. And I'm thinking, I chatted, I said, why are you not confident? No, we just can't score. I was right, okay, fair enough. But yeah, can't knock it. Totally different display against Porto. My question is, why? Why couldn't we play like that against Porto? Is it the fact that it's Europe and we're mentally a little bit weak in Europe, or was the team just set up wrong to play a European team? Interesting points of debate, but we had to win. That was a must win to keep in contention. And every game now, Lee, is a cup final. If we're going to stay in contention to get and try and win this Premier League, let's put it right. Yeah. If we beat Porto at home 2-0 when we play them, then we're through to the next round. We're not going to win the Champions League. Right? All these people out there gassing it up, blah, blah, blah. Let's be fair and square. Right? We got out of the group. We've played Porto. No disrespect to Porto. They've won the Champions League twice. We haven't. Right? And I'll give them that. We haven't come up against the big boys yet. Barcelona, I know, aren't brilliant at the moment. Real Madrid, would we want them? No. Bayern Munich, not brilliant, but would we want them? No. PSG, no. I mean, come on, let's make it real. The real trophy that we've really got to bang on for is the Premier League. Sadly, much as I'd love to see us win the Champions League, I've never seen it. We're rubbish in Europe, always have been, but I can't see it. So we've got to push for the one I honestly believe is a possibility. I'm not saying we will. It's a possibility. I watched your poll earlier, Lee, and I put in there, I quite fancy Liverpool to win this league myself. I know a lot of people put in City. I went Liverpool, purely and simply. The manager they've got, he's kicking that team into gear. And I can see that team playing for him because he's going at the end of the season. So I think you have to be realistic and not be stupid and make out like certain people do. And they make out Real Madrid 11, and there's only 2 Real Madrid players in it. Really? Okay. Now I'm not going to sit here and wax lyrical. I don't watch it. I don't watch Spanish football. You do. You know a billion times more about it than I do. And so we have to be realistic, people. Let's go for the one thing we can try. Yes, try in the Champions League. I ain't got a problem with it. right? But I just don't think we have the team balance to win in Europe at this point in time. Maybe it will happen, but let's go for the Premier League. I think we are well, no question. We're in the mix for it. Let's go for it. Yeah. And let's try in the Champions, but be realistic about it. Keep calm and keep going. That's all I'm going to say, man.
Yeah. What did you make of the game, Kenny? Obviously, you were at the game. You've seen loads of goals recently at the Emirates, mate. You must be loving life.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think, Newcastle, played the way I thought they'll play. They're predictable. They try to put two banks of four, try to do their low block. But this season, Newcastle have struggled against teams that have pressed them aggressively, like the clock gegenpress. And they've struggled also with teams who just attack them at great pace with movement and athleticism. They can't cope with it. I referenced Tottenham's thrashing of them, at the White Hart Lane. I also referenced the Liverpool game when they got absolutely mullered. Newcastle just can't cope with that. They can't cope with pace. Last season, they coped pretty well with it. But this season, they're a bit of a mess. That's why I was fairly confident we were going to win the game comfortably. And you know what? We did. It was brilliant football. Jorginho, the player that I liken to a horse for courses goal was absolutely brilliant. The way he controlled the midfield, I thought, me and you had a debate, in the fan cam about Saka. We're caught between two stools. It's a case of, do we want Saka to be, the player that, produces 8 out of 10 performances every game, or do you want a Saka that scores important goals? At the moment, we're stuck between the two, but because we're in a sort of title challenge, we've got to settle at the moment for Saka to score goals. And I think that's what he's doing. If he's not going to play, if Saka doesn't play well, we'll settle for him scoring. I think that's what he's done since the turn of the year. In terms of other players, Kai Havertz, I thought he had a good game.
That was his best game for us.
Perversely, despite the fact that Kai Havertz still feeling his way and still, hasn't convinced all of us. Perversely, I think he's probably going to end up with probably between 12 and 15 goals. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to be braces. They're going to be the hot odd goal here and there. And I think come the end of the season, wherever we finish, I think the fans will be properly satisfied with it, with his outlook. Because everyone's now a stats man. So they're going to be satisfied with that. But, I think next season, if he's at the club, I'm going to be expecting a lot more than what I've seen. But at the moment, he's useful because he can come and your goal here and there. And then, Odegaard, I thought, weren't too great. But, we're getting, play for other parts of the pitch. One thing I would say is I second what Jay says about Europe. The way we're built right now in terms of like the make up the squad, the make up the first 11, that's not built for the Champions League. That squad is built for the league in terms of like the pace and power that we play with, the athleticism that we have all across the pitch. That's built for pulverising teams in the Premiership. In Europe, you can't do that. That's why I wasn't surprised that we got nothing out of Porto. I don't think this Arsenal side can cope with the change in tempo that's required for Europe. Don't get me wrong. At home, in the Champions League against Porto, as we've shown against PSV and as we've shown against Lens, if we do put it on Porto, then we probably will prevail. But against better sides, even Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, maybe Internazionale, and definitely Man City, they're not going to be scared of us. They're not going to allow us to just pulverise them at the Emirates. They're going to have a bit more than that. And I think if we try to go back to plan B, play European style, we'll fail miserably. That's why I think, as much as a lot of fans want the Champions League because we've never won it before, and I do believe to be an elite club, you have to win the Champions League. Now, I just said that Arsenal's not elite, but I have to be true to myself by saying that's not just my opinion. I think a lot of Arsenal fans think it deep down. When Chelsea give us stick about not winning the Champions League, said you'll never sing that, you never sing that. I think we know they got a point. I say it, and I know kids are watching, but we were packing it at the thought of Spurs win the Champions League 5 years ago. So that shows the evolution of this great competition. But for me, this season's priority is the league. It has to be the league because of the makeup of the squad.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. It's probably it's probably what he wants most as well. Like the Champions League's great, and we all want to win it. We've never won it, but we ain't won a league for 20 years. Yeah, and if we do it up against, we're doing it up against two teams. The Champions League, one mistake, you're out.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Premier League, a mistake, you still could be in it. We've all had blips this season. Like Liverpool have drawn quite a lot of games. Obviously lost to us, and they got robbed against Tottenham. But Man City went 1-6. We went 1-7 with just one win in 7, and we're all still there. Yeah, but I think the most consistent team now wins it. Yeah, and them games against Tottenham, Chelsea, and Man United, because I think all three of us got to play them. Them 3 games that decide where it's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen, that Chelsea team are horrific. Yeah, I was did a show with Saeed earlier, and Dom, the Chelsea fan that was on there, he was saying like every time a set piece goes against Chelsea, it's as good as having a penalty. Yeah, because they can't defend set pieces. Obviously, we're the best set piece team in the league. So hopefully when we play them, we absolutely batter them. But I don't know, Man City are playing Man United this weekend. That could either be a cricket score or a stinky draw. Yeah, because Man U ain't got a chance of winning that game. Yeah, but they might get out of there with a draw. Look what they did against Liverpool. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting. And listen, big up to everyone locked in, over 400 in it. Get these likes up, people. I want to talk about the bench, because for yet another game, we bring our subs on and we don't do anything. The game kind of ends. Yeah, fair enough. We were 4-0 up at the time. But Jez, what's wrong with our bench, mate? What's wrong with our bench? Because we don't seem to, like, the players that are the fringe players, the Eddie Nketiahs, the Reece Nelsons, the El Nenis, etc. When they come on, I thought Smith Rowe did all right, but I mean, when these players come on, it's not like we're really going, wow, look at these, they should be starting the next game, are we? Like, we're sitting there thinking, yeah, they're not good enough, kind of thing. They should be gone in the summer. What do you make of them?
Well, that's the whole thing, isn't it? There's no impact players coming off the bench. I was a little bit harsh on Smith Rowe when I did my player ratings with you the other night. I mean, he did better than I try to say. I got that a little bit wrong. But Nketiah, throw him in the bin, man. The guy's rubbish. He does nothing but run around like a blind man. He's useless. He came on the other day and did absolutely nothing. Right? Get him out this summer. Just bin him off, rip up his contract, throw him in the bin. He's crap. The rest of them, we just don't have the intensity to change the game. Now, at that point in time, the game was done and dusted. That's good. That's great for the starting 11 players. But that's not how it's going to be when we go to play City away, Tottenham away, right? We're going to have players that maybe will have to make an impact. I've been, people are saying, oh, you'll beat Tottenham away. Tottenham Arsenal's a totally different game. Forget all the form, forget all the, history. It's the biggest London derby that per se, right? Forget about like Chelsea, Arsenal, Chelsea, Arsenal, West Ham, blah. Arsenal, Tottenham, Arsenal is the one. It's the one that creates the most pain to each fan base. So it's not going to be we're going to walk up there and score 4 or 5 goals. I'd love it. I've seen it happen, but not sure I'm convinced it's going to happen with this one, Kenny. But the fact remains is we don't have the impact players. And that is what frightens me, where we could get cost a loss on a game away, or even possible at home, if we don't step up to the mark. I mean, who we got next? Sheffield, is it? Sheffield United we got next?
I think our next games are Sheffield United and obviously Brentford. And obviously you've got in between, sandwiched between the Bournemouth game is a possibility of the game against Chelsea, because Chelsea are playing Leeds United on Wednesday. So obviously if Chelsea prevail, then that game gets postponed, because I think there's going to be a round of games where you expect Liverpool, Man City, and Chelsea to get to the quarterfinals. So those round of games on say the weekend starting March the 16th, you wouldn't, no, March the 15th, you wouldn't expect to see the three contenders playing games if everything goes to form. But you are right about the situation regarding what's going to happen against Spurs. I still think that Spurs and Villa come the times we're going to play them in April are still going to be challenged for the top four. Man United ain't getting no top four unless they learn how to press teams and play Klopp's gegenpress. You can't have a game at Old Trafford against Fulham. Sorry, Fulham fans. Sorry, Youssef. I know you watch. You're one of my closest mates. You're Fulham, but I've got to say as it is, Fulham should be going to Old Trafford and dominating the game. And the only
going there and dominating them. That's how trash they are.
Yeah, but the only reason why Fulham dominate the game because none of your players know how to press and work hard off the ball. Simple. So that means that it's in Villa and Tottenham's hands, and because the English clubs have been doing really well in Europe, 5th place will be enough for the Champions League. So, in terms of the Champions League places, I don't see it changing unless Spurs and Villa go into free for all. And I know they're both inconsistent, but they're not that bad. So, come April the 27th, when you play Tottenham, or the 28th, whenever it is, I think Spurs are going to have something on it. They're going to want two things: i.e., stop us from winning the league, and make sure they get in the top four.
Fact.
Yeah, I totally agree. The thing is as well, somebody just put in the chat a minute ago when we've got Partey. There we go. When Partey, Jesus, Innie, and Timber are back on the bench, it won't be so bad. Yeah, that's all well and good, but without them two ex-City players, we've absolutely battered everyone, apart from Porto. Literally battered everyone. Yeah, and Thomas Partey, I don't think we're going to see him again this season. Yeah, there was all this talk in the press conference the other day. Oh, yes, he's back in training. Does anyone actually know if he is actually in training? Because all of these training pictures that were posted out the other day before Porto, the last training session, well, do we actually know that was from that last training session? That could have been from 3 months ago. Yeah, and this club has done that before this season, by the way, by putting out Thomas Partey training on his own inside in Colney. Yeah, well, that could have been from the summer. Yeah, because he weren't in training. Yeah, because he ain't been in any squad ever since. Oh, he had a setback. How many setbacks has this guy had this season with a thigh strain? A thigh strain, by the way. Yeah. As for Timber, that guy's done an ACL and will most likely get on the pitch before Thomas Partey. So this is weird, mate. I can't lie. This whole Thomas Partey thing. Yeah, we've said this before. Every player Arteta's wanted to get out of this football club, he's got rid of. There's a reason Partey's still here, because he wants to keep him here. There's a reason he's still here, because we could have got rid of him in January. Yeah, could have got rid of him in the summer. Yeah, and even if Partey is back, is there any, let's say he does come back into the team, how do we know he's not going to play at right back? Because that's where he started the season. Yeah, as for Timber, we don't know how good this guy is. He looked good in the pre-season, in the Community Shield, and he looked good for 45 minutes in the first game of the season. But how do we know actually how good he is going to be and how he's going to fit into the team? Yeah, Tomiyasu is another one. Yeah, Tomiyasu, this guy can't stay fit. No. That's another one. How he's got a new contract is baffling. It's baffling. He's gone away to the Asia Cup. He's come back and he's injured. Yeah, he was injured before he went. Yeah, he got fit just about a week before then went. Played nearly all the games, if not every single minute. Come back and he's injured. It's like we've got too many players like this in our squad. Yeah, and then you had him Vieira. Vieira was sat on the bench the other night. Yeah, was he even on the bench at the weekend? Was Vieira on the bench?
I'm not sure.
I'm going to have a look now.
Vieira was we had quite a strong bench. We had Vieira. We had Jesus was on the bench.
Yeah, Vieira was on the bench,
yeah.
So why is he not getting time?
But you know what? I think what's happening, right, is that I don't think it was that sort of game where, when you're already thrashing a team, I think he was thinking, you know what? Don't really need Jesus out there now.
Not Jesus. I meant Vieira. Surely you bring Vieira in because that's the perfect opportunity to give him a run out against the team that we're pamming.
You know what?
I was trying to make.
No.
If Timber comes back in after an ACL, sorry to interrupt you, Kenny. I'll shut
That's
up.
right.
The fact is, Timber, what we saw of him, he looked good, didn't he? He did look very good. But it's going to take, right now, the Premier League is now at 100 miles an hour. It's at peak intensity. It's going to take that guy a little bit of time, to get back to total match fitness. And you can't stress that because that ACL is going to take time to heal. And I wouldn't want him to come in for 20 minutes. Give him 10 at the end of a game. But at the end of the day, you can't stress that sort of thing because at the end of the day, that's him out then till Christmas or something, right? If he does it again, and that's then a scar for the rest of his life. He's going to have a scar there for the rest of his life anyway on that. But, I'm not relying on that one, I'm afraid. I'm not relying on that one, I'm afraid, at all. And I think what's happened with Partey, God only knows. And I think it's a bloody great shame. I like him. I think he's a great player. And I'd play him all day long. Something's gone wrong there. And, I think you're right, Lee, Kenny. He'll be gone, mate, in the summertime.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what we do in the summer because there's a lot of players in this squad that ain't good enough, and we can get quite a bit of money for some of them. What's his name? Can you tell her today, please, mate? Can you take? Is that all right, Kenny? So I've just seen that. Yeah, if you could tell her to come ASAP, ASAP, because I'm starting work in 2 hours, so I can just fly up to Marbella now. Big up to everyone in here. Yeah, my phone's bust, guys. My phone's broken. I don't know what's wrong with it. It won't turn on. And it was working fine when I woke up. I can't even turn it on. So yeah, I've been phoneless all day. But yeah, big up. Yeah, if you could tell her come to mine ASAP, that'd be great, Kenny. Appreciate it, man. But yeah, there's a lot of players that we can get decent money for. Yeah, I think Tomiyasu we could get good money for. Yeah, I think, and listen, he's injury prone. Yeah, and he's been very good at times when he has played this season. But ultimately, you don't play enough. Then you're relying on Kivior. Yeah, and Kivior, until the last couple of games, has been a bit sketchy at times. He should have been sent straight off at Luton, didn't even get booked. That tackle was disgusting. Yeah, he got very, very lucky with that. Yeah, then he got absolutely roasted against Porto all game. He's had some sketchy games. Yeah, he was inverting when he was in Premier League games, wandering off into number 10. Fair play to Mikel. Yeah, because he realised he ain't no good at inverting. So he said, right, you just go up and down the wing. I'll get Ben White, who's better on the ball, to invert. Yeah, more comfy on the ball. And that has worked perfect so far, by the way. Yeah, but then when Zinchenko comes back, are we going to revert back to Zinchenko doing it and Ben White going up and down the wing? And then would that alter the balance? Because if you actually deep it... Sorry, let me say one more thing, Ken. Sorry, mate. Because if you actually deep it, most teams are setting up for us to invert on the left. Because that's what we've been doing for 18 months with Mikel using Zinchenko. So is that maybe with Ben White inverting, baffling the opposition? Because they're expecting Kivior to do it, and instead it's Ben White. So that's now another thing we have to think of, because teams might now set up to play with Ben White inverting. So then maybe it would work if Zinchenko comes back and inverts, and you baffled him again. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I just want to quickly, something I've been thinking, but I just want to quickly go back to the Partey thing. This supposed case that's going on, I'm sure if that was fact, that had been dealt with a long time ago, because it's been going on for a bloody long time now. And I'm sure a lot more have come out about that. So I'm dismissing that one out of hand. Yeah, I think you could be right on what you're talking about, Lee. That the fact we've got White doing what he's doing, maybe it is causing a little bit of confusion. And if that's what's happening, then fair play to Arteta. You've got a new tactic, although you've already said you've got about 72 different tactics. So,
how many tactical changes did we do in the first half against Newcastle? Does anyone know?
You know what? I just think you just let him go out and play. But I think, you know what you said about Kivior would be seen as sacrilege, because I know a lot of Arsenal fans have been quite impressed with him. But I see where you come from there, and I see where they're coming from. And it's pretty harsh to say it. Kivior is perfect for the league. He's exactly what we need. Physical, he's quick, he's got the physique. So he matches the pace we want to play at, and he matches the athleticism we need for the league. But as you well know, in Europe's a bit more than that. You know, he wasn't the effective tool that we needed in Europe, and that's why I always say there's two Arsenals. There's Arsenal in Europe and Arsenal in the Premier League. So far so good. He's a more than capable deputy, but in terms of how we're inverting through Benjamin White, that's what we bought him for. That's exactly what we bought him for that sort of option. Benjamin White wasn't just bought as a defender. He's bought because he was good on the ball, because he could possibly play DM, but because he's got all those attributes, you can play him in this kind of inverted full-back role comfortably, because he should be okay to do that. So it shouldn't be a difficult transition for Benjamin White. But in terms of Tom's Partey situation, as I said, social media is the tool of the devil. If you want to keep anything secret, it's not possible anymore. Before social media or new media, this would be kept quiet. Jez, you remember back in the day the amount of dirt we all knew about for some of our players who've been implicated in worse than what Thomas Partey's been played.
Yeah.
But the club kept it quiet. And then what will happen is that when they leave, you think, oh, why has they left the club? 9 out of 10 times have left because they've had to be let go quietly.
Yes.
Now with social media, everyone will know about it. Some of these ex-players, they're working in media today.
Yes.
If you knew the dirt on some of these people, what they're really like, they'll be cancelled. I'm not mentioning names, but there's one guy who's big in the media now. He's basically the face of TV. If you knew what he was really like, he wouldn't be working there. Trust me, he's got skeletons that basically could fit a whole plot.
Right, well, we see one about 6 months ago. His name ends in Schofield.
No.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked. But look, one thing I'll tell you, you wouldn't be able to fill Islington Cemetery with all the skeletons he's got in his club.
Wow. Yeah, that's media in a nutshell. It's all a bit off key, mate. It's all a little bit off key. Yeah, they're all up to no good. And they all know that they're up to no good as well. That's why I'm not going to go down the whole route of this Schofield thing. Yeah, but you're telling me that bird who sits next to him every day didn't have a clue. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yeah, big up to everyone locked in. Big up Chris as well for the donation, bro. Favourites to win the Champions League. We haven't been in the Champions League for years and couldn't even win the Europa. Why are our fans so giddy and gassed? Because it gets loads of likes and retweets, mate. Yeah, part of the get along gang. That's what it is. Oh, look at me. I'm the toppest of top gooner. Like, oh, I'm great. I'm amazing. I support the team through thick and thin. This is what I see as well. I see a lot of people say this, yeah. Like, you're not a true supporter. Yeah, you're supposed to back us when we're rubbish. Well, hold on. Let me just say this, because this is how I understand it. The best players at the football club that underperform. So Odegaard, for example, the other day, I thought he was crap. Yeah, fair play. He was the reason we scored that third goal. Yeah, because he did the press, forced them into the passing the ball to 29, and then he passed it off to Saka, and he did a madness. Yeah, but he was poor. The best players at a football club should be the ones that get the most criticism. Yeah, because that's how you keep the standards high. Like I said about this Flora Malouda podcast, he was saying, yeah, that all the best players at Chelsea when he was playing there, and let's be real, they were quality under Ancelotti and Jose before that, yeah, right? He said every single one of them top players were the ones that got the most criticism. He goes, we had to keep winning, yeah? And if we weren't winning, the best players were the ones that got it, not the ones that were coming off the bench, the fringe players and stuff like that. It was the JTs, it was the Lampards, it was the Drogbas, yeah? It was other players that were ones that were getting the most criticism, yeah? And just because you're winning and then you slide down and you don't win anymore, well, sorry, for me, that ain't supporting. Yeah, all you're doing is supporting mediocrity because your team have been the best and you're accepting they're not the best anymore instead of striving for them to be the best.
Lee, as I said before, and I've mentioned it with you and Jez, we have, amongst our fan base, a majority of our fan base You either got the get along guys
Mm.
who basically want to be seen as the great guys and want to use the right buzzwords so they can get more followers and likes. Then you've got the people with serious ambition to make it into the mainstream. And then you've got the CBBS viewpoints of football. and CBBS.
The CBBS.
Sorry, that's exactly what they are. I had one guy 2 years ago from Nigeria come up to me and goes, "Why do I hate Arsenal?" He asked me why I hate Arsenal. This is a guy was born and bred in Islington, has been club since 1980. 1980. I went there before because we lived outside of Grant, and you were saying I hate Arsenal because I was critical of Arteta and critical of some of our players. This is the sort of CBBS rubbish we get. And the reason why we get the CBBS is because of one channel or one channel ever. AFTV is the bane of, and basically the opposition to sensible football conversation. They are the CBBS of football discussion, football debate. And how they're taken seriously is an absolute joke.
Yeah.
An absolute joke.
Because there's millions of people out there that they play up to. They know that people in England and around the other countries in the world are going to be there sitting there taking the mick out of Chelsea, sitting there taking the mick out of Man United, sitting there taking the mick. So they jump on that. We're great. Everyone else is trash. Then this is what I put a massive long tweet out the other day. Some guy said to me, "Yeah, but when we win, you're quite level-headed. Yeah, when we lose, you always want to have a go at the club." Yeah, I'm not going to read the whole tweet. I'm not even going to bother reading any of it. But I'll paraphrase. Yeah, basically, I said when Arsenal win narrowly, like stoppage time, and I'm sitting there on the podcast and on other shows, and I'm saying this ain't sustainable. We're scoring. Yeah, cool. It's great. We're scoring last-minute winners. But we can't keep doing this, lads. We need to find a way to win the game before stoppage time. Then what happens is, oh, just be happy. We've won the game, you idiots, you scumbags. Then after that, what happens? 1 win in 7. And then everyone disappears. And then I'm still here, you're still here. And we're going, see, we did tell you this, guys. But you want to jump on the bandwagon, just be happy. Then I get told, you're being toxic and negative for views. No, I'm telling you, this is what I said would happen. Why don't you wake up and actually join the party instead of just gassing up a win against Luton in stoppage time? Yeah, criticize it for what it is. Yeah, it was a shit show that night. Our goalkeeper was a shocker that night. All of our players pretty much were crap. Yeah, and we narrowly got over the line and it weren't sustainable. We've done it against Man United. We've done it against other teams this season. But when we win massively, we're all sitting there going, well done, lads. Absolutely quality. Yeah, but we need to keep it going. 13 more cup finals, 12 more cup finals, etc., etc. Yeah, when we lose, yeah, and I also put this in the tweet. Like I said, this tweet went on forever. Yeah, when we lose, 90% of our losses are spineless performances. Yeah, spineless. Yeah, 90% of them. Yeah, West Ham, spineless. Fulham, spineless. Porto, spineless. Yeah, who else we lost to? Newcastle, that was spineless. Even though, yeah, we may or may not have got skanked out of that up at Newcastle. We had 0 shots on target. Spineless. Yeah, the Liverpool game in the Cup, spineless. Yeah, and this is the thing. Too many spineless losses get swept under the carpet with this club. Yeah, and that comes back to fans just wanting to be happy. Just be happy, just be happy, just be happy. Just be happy don't mean you're going to keep winning. Yeah, you have to call it out because these players do read social media. They've probably all got accounts. They probably watch shows like this. They probably read tweets. Yeah, and if they're seeing everyone saying, oh, just be, oh, we're happy, we've won the game, naturally, subconsciously, they're going to switch off at times because they're going to believe their own hype. So you have to keep on them. And that is what, coming back to that podcast I watched earlier, that was what Malouda was saying. Look, we couldn't switch off. Social media wasn't a massive thing back then. Right? It was big, but it wasn't as big as it is now. He said, but fans were on our case. Every loss was a morgue. Like, it was disaster zone. Yeah, so it kept us on our toes. We have to be better. Yeah, also, so they had Jose and they had Ancelotti. Do you know what I mean?
Man. You know, Big Frank. He used to in his when he was on the sort of the overlap. He actually referenced, Romain actually coming to the changing rooms. After they lost the last 16 game to Internazionale, Jose's Internazionale, he he came in and the dressing room and said, "Look, you guys are now playing for your futures." So that came from the top, and that's the situation. You know, if he's paying big money for player salaries, and he's paying big money for all the facilities to give these players the best training ground, the best contacts in the world, which Chelsea had at the time. He expects results, and I think that's the situation. They had leaders as well. Everyone talks about Chelsea and Man City, and it's all dirty money, and we want to do it organic. Come on, they wouldn't have won anything that didn't have leaders and good players. It's so. That's what I talk about. CBBS. Are you thick? You don't win football matches without leaders and these world-class players.
We see that yesterday in a cup final. Van Dijk, world-class defender, leader.
Yes, it's
we've seen Luka Modric yesterday come off the bench, scored the winner.
Exactly. Yes, it's facilitated by huge expenditure. But if you look at Chelsea, they spend just as much money as they did under Roman. But what have they done? They won nothing because they've got no leaders and no world-class players. So stop coming out with your CBBS garbage, which basically is masked by envy by saying, doping. Oh, shut up, mate. You lot wanting Usmanov, you hypocrites. Shut up. Boring me to tears with garbage. Stop talking. Anyway, if you want to win the title, then do it your own way. I wouldn't care whether the money came from China, North Korea, or Russia. As long as Arsenal win the Champions League and the Premiership and every trophy going, I'm going to bask in the glory of it. I'm going to be down the town all celebrating. I couldn't care less how you got it. Only losers worry about where the money's come from.
Yep. It's not exactly like we don't spend money ourselves, but listen, we are going to wrap this up, guys. We're going to redirect to Saeed. He's live. I'll be live again later for the Girona game, depending on how long they take in the Apple store. Got an hour and 50 minutes to get this sorted, so we'll see what they say was wrong with my phone. And big up to everyone who's locked in. Big up to everyone who's got me over 95k on here and over 25k on the other channel. Appreciate it. And Jez, what are you set on numbers wise, and what you got coming up as well, mate?
I'm nearly on the 5k. It's a struggle. It's getting closer, but day by day. I think it's about 130 to go now. So you never know. But tomorrow night, I'm doing a show with Anthony Herbert. And then Wednesday night is the big one with Kenny Ken, Northside, John Sinclair, Newcastle, and Matty and Dow talk everything football and everything like that. Put the world to rights. And talk about our whatever, basically. So looking
Happy
forward.
days. Make sure you sub to Jez's channel. It's in the pinned comment along with Kenny Ken's Instagram. What you got coming up, mate?
Me, I'm with Jez on Wednesday. Dan's has asked me to come back this Tuesday, so I'm going to do have a discussion, do battle. Obviously, I'm going to have a few detractors. There's a Pratt, a pork chop, and he watches everything I do. He says that I take a long time to string a sentence, and he says I look like Mr. Henderson. But the other day, Michael Collins, I'm here, and you're in the gallows watching me perform every week. The other day, you're just heckling from the touchlines. I've been selected to be on a panel, so please, by all means, keep up the hate, and I'm always going to call you out because you started it, and you know what I'm like. You touch me, I touch you. You don't touch me.
And on that bombshell, I have to go. But big up to everyone who's logged in. Big up to both you guys as well. And spam Saeed's chat. Spam Saeed's chat, guys. And we're out of here. Adios, amigos. Ciao.